News First, Newsline with Faraz Shaukat Ali on TV1.
And a very good evening to you and a warm welcome to Newsline. And our guest this evening is Dr. Prasad Herath, who is the Assistant Secretary at the GMOA, the Government Medical Officers Association. Good evening to you, Doctor, and welcome to the program.
Good evening.
Thank you. Thank you for accepting our invitation. Doctor, the whole country seems to be aware that there is a shortage of medicine. We have some reports to say that the opposition want a no confidence motion against the minister and so on and so forth. But the fact remains that the shortages are still there. I was at the had information from the Karapitia hospital. A cancer patient tells me that she wasn't able to get the medicine, and this story is replicated throughout the country. What exactly is going on, Dr. Herath?
Yeah, first of all, thank you very much for inviting us to the program. And let me start like this. Sri Lankan healthcare system is appreciated by many institutions and organizations worldwide, including the WHOA. And health is a highly technical subject, and it is handled by the various medical experts. So this is not easy work to talk about how drug shortages happen in the country, but it is one part of the total health care system. So if GMOA, we understood that there are some issues, and we have categorized it into several steps, especially into 5 steps where the drug shortage and other issues arises. So first of all, let me point out what are the issues rising in the system right now. So first one is lack of drugs. Of course, we all know that if we go to the hospital also, there are some shortage of drugs. And if you go to the pharmacy, also there are some shortage of drugs. And then the second one is a poor quality of drugs or substandard drugs. So that is also an issue right now. And last couple of weeks, we have noticed there are several issues rise from the institutions where they treated. And then third one is high prices. High prices also is a problem. Nowadays, patients are facing big issue because they can't buy enough drug for the course of treatment. And another one is medical instruments or equipment issues. If you go to hospitals, you can see there are many issues in instruments. Instruments are out of stock, or maybe reagents not enough, and maybe the machines are not working properly. So there are so many issues arising. And plus, now we can see that there are brain drain. So human resource issues also there. So GMO has identified these all issues into one part, because this is one part of the whole healthcare system. And if we go to the to identify how the drugs are bring to Sri Lanka. So initially there are system like normal procurement procedure. And let me to start like 2015 started the NMR Act. Before that there was a Drugs, Cosmetic and Device Act under the DGHS. Then introduced the new act. It's called NMR Act, National Medicinal Regulatory Act. So it is a very comprehensive act. So though we have seen last couple of years, there are some issues. So this issue rising because of emergency purchases. So if we go to identify how these procedures happen in the country-wise, basically Ministry of Health, there are 5 institutions, and Ministry of Health is one institution. So Ministry of Health get all the details from hospitals, MOHs and RDOHs, and they prepare the annual estimate for drugs. So this annual estimate, they send to the procurement agent. Procurement agent is called SPC, State Pharmaceutical Corporations. So there they do the procurement and they call the tender procedure. It takes 1 to 3 months or more than that. So this is this tender procedure take time. So they call for all the agents and they select accordingly. And then if there is the stock is not enough, they call for the agents to get down the enough stock. So when we consider about the emergency procedures, our emergency procurement, so this is not no need to go through the normal procurement procedure.
Right.
So they can select one person and then they can get through that agent.
So can I stop you there? In this emergency system, they can appoint one agent who represent a certain manufacturer, and they can order directly. What happens to the checking to see whether the standards are being upheld? What happens to that then?
Actually, this is the thing, like when there is emergency purchase, so it's decided by the Ministry of Health, and then the agents provide the quality of the drugs. And in Sri Lanka,
who's checking the quality?
Quality is checking by the NMRA, National Medicinal Regulatory Authority.
So the NMRA do that even if it is emergency supply?
Yes. The thing is, like, then we have to rely on the agent's details. And in Sri Lanka, we don't have a laboratory to check the standard of the drugs.
So what is then how is the NMRA approving it if they don't have the equipment?
They have, because they have a lab, but because this is not enough right now, we don't have enough facilities for it.
So then they are merely approving a drug on a document supplied by the supplier.
Yeah, they have to rely on the supplier if they provide the details.
But isn't that dangerous, because the supplier can say anything?
Yeah, that's why as a GMOA, GMOA we proposed last year also to the Ministry of Health and the Minister that we have to go for the normal procurement procedure and avoiding the emergency purchases. So if you see that if the country now there is no pandemic or in emergency, we are not in emergency situations. So if we are not in emergency situation, then we can go to the normal procurement.
So how did we, previous to this, was there any medicine shortages before this, before all of this business? Why have we ended up in a situation now where we have shortages and therefore they have to go to emergency procurement? Why? What has happened? What is different today than it was, say, a year ago?
If we go like 2021, there was the item 200 items they bought from the emergency purchases, and then last year it was 700 items, and this year it is 300 up to now, so it can go like last year.
So you mean the 200 emergency items became 700? That's more than 3 times more.
Yes, 3 times more in last year, and in this year also it's going to be like that.
And so what does this indicate to you? Is this an indicator of a lack of professionalism, a lack of somebody not doing their job, and there's a lack of planning? Or is it mainly to do with driving corruption? What do you think?
Yeah, if we see this, we can see, first of all, we can identify as a lack of cooperations, because there are 5 agencies like Ministry of Health, SPC, and NMRA and plus NMR, SPMC. So there are 5 agencies and plus MST.
Yeah.
So there are 5. Yes.
Go ahead. Sorry.
This department should be cooperate together.
Right.
This is the main issue we face right now. And another one is like corruptions also, because lack of the professionalism also can affect the issue.
And what is the GMOA doing, or what can the GMOA do in terms of making sure that the public and who are sovereign in this country, that the public will actually receive access to these medicines? What can the GMOA do?
Because GMO was pointing out this issue from last year. We have been pointing out it, and we are a trade union, and we can analyze this issue and we can point it out. So the authorities has to act and do the needfuls from their end.
And as long as the authorities don't do what they're supposed to do, then this problem will continue.
Yeah, from our end, GMO has proposed 10 proposals to avoid this emergency purchases and bring back to normal situation in the country for the drugs and other equipments. And the authorities has to follow and adhere to those. And plus there is Auditor General reports and 2022. So that Auditor General reports also pointing out and they have given conclusions. But the thing is, like, we have a question whether they follow that Auditor General reports.
Mm-hmm. And therefore the system is becoming very dangerous for the public.
Yeah, it seems to be some kind of dangers, but we have to get out of this situation.
And Dr. Herath, what about the fact that even though at the, let's say, the Maragama Cancer Hospital or at Karapitia, when they say, the hospital says we don't have the medicine, then they give a chit, a prescription, and the patients go out and get it from a private pharmacy. How come the private people have the medicines but the government service doesn't?
Yeah, this is because private companies, they can get down because there are procedures through the NMRA and they can order, they can get the purchases from earlier. And but in the government, when we come to the government sector, because we have a normal procurement procedure, so we have to go through that, because when we see that when we calculate the annual estimate, so we have to get the details from each and every institutions. So it has to start from the beginning of the year for the next year. So we should have annual estimate. According to that only we can order.
Are there challenges? So, are there financial challenges in ordering? Is that why this system is getting a bit upset?
Yeah, it also possible because nowadays countries in financial crisis, and same time we have Indian credit line. So when we order the through Indian credit line, there are some agents, they do not provide drugs on time. So then we will have some shortages too.
But what are the penalties if a supplier doesn't supply on time? Surely it's playing with people's lives.
Yeah, because when we go through the emergency purchases, so I'm really not aware about how the fines are applicable in the system.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's an agreement between the agents and the Ministry of Health, how to get down the emergency purchases drugs.
But Dr. Herath, how it's very frustrating for me if I'm a patient and I have to go to the hospital and they say, well, this is what's wrong with you, but we don't have the medicine to treat you. Doesn't that sound unfair to you?
Of course, it is unfair for the patients, and if the patient are facing this issue. But as a country, we have to hurry up and get together, and we have to take decisions and actions for avoiding further lack of drugs and getting down Sri Lanka as much as possible.
So let's get united is the message here. Let's go for a quick break and take a peek at this evening's headline news. I'm in conversation with Dr. Prasad Herath from the GMOA. We'll see you on the other side of the break. Thank you.
News First, Newsline with Faraz Shaukat Ali on TV1.
Measures will be taken to import chicken if prices in the local market do not reduce, says Trade Minister. Farmers protest against attempts to import vegetables. 60,000 acres of paddy land at brink of destruction as water is not released from Samanalavavar to Udavalava. Jatika Janabalavege protests in Colombo against the looting of public funds. 65 medicines removed from use so far this year over quality issue.
News First, Newsline with Faraz Shaukat Ali on TV1.
And welcome back to Newsline. And our guest this evening is Dr. Prasad Herath, who is the Assistant Secretary at the GMOA, the Government Medical Officers Association. We're speaking medicine, shortages, and corruption even. Who knows? And on top of all that, yet another move to stop the media getting hold of information. It's absolutely crazy. Dr. Herath, what is this business about? I'll come back to the medicine shortages in a moment. But I keep getting asked this question by members of the public who send me messages and so on, and who call me. Dr. Herath, at the moment, Sri Lanka has declared itself bankrupt. We are not servicing our foreign loans, but therefore we have an excess amount of foreign exchange because we're not servicing our loans. We're bringing in the oil and the gas and so on. That's true. However, there must be some money left over. Why, in that case, why is this whole problem of shortages? Do you think that this has been engineered? This is a human-created shortage to benefit people who are involved in the emergency supplies of drugs?
Actually, if I'm speaking, I can't point out exactly what has happened there, but the thing is, like, we have to understand this, there is issue with the coordination, and this coordination among the institutions, and there is issue and time taking. And if someone is thinking in that way, so of course he can think that way also. But the thing is, like, I think, like, if we go to the MRA and other institutions, they might have their end of problems too, because the financial crisis, they have lack of the staffs and some other issues too. So we can't say exactly what is the problem there. So that's why we call, like, we suggested the system to get together and find the solutions.
Mm-hmm. Nevertheless, very, very sad for the people of the country, because on top of all their other problems in terms of the economy and so on, and rising prices and reduced opportunities for work, we have this information that the government have sent a circular around saying about releasing information to the media and the method that should or should not be employed. Do you agree, Dr. Herath, that this is a good idea to not to give the media any information so that we won't be able to let the public know about it?
This is actually, I'm not agree, and this is unfair for the government officers and the view of trade union viewer point also. And this is not a new circular. It has been issued last year too. So issuing this kind of letter suppress the independent views of trade unions and other officers. So our GMOA, ESCO and the General Committee decide to strongly give our objections, and we decided to resort to maximum trade union measures for it.
We are told that the GMO, the certain sections of the health industry are asking for, the medical industry are asking for more money to increase their salaries or their remuneration. Is that the right sort of thing to do now in between this economic crisis?
Thing is like if we see that nowadays we have a large outflow of the healthcare workers in the country. This is due to some financial issues. So if you take about the outflow of the healthcare workers in the country, this will create a big issue in coming years. Because if we think about first lack of drugs, so the issue of the drugs or instruments, so we can replace it within a month or year. But if the qualified healthcare workers migrate from this country to some other places, so we can't replace them within years, or it will take another 5 to 6 years. So they have their issues in their end, and then we have to address this too, because with the unbearable tax and other issues, a lot of healthcare workers tend to find foreign jobs from other countries.
Okay, but do you think that the public will really understand it when doctors are asking for more money? Because the public are also suffering. The rest of the public are not doctors or nurses.
This is the thing, like doctors so far. So if we go to the healthcare system in the country, doctors work less salary and less payment throughout the last couple of years. So the public aware about it, and without proper healthcare workers in the country, so we can't continue this healthcare system in future. So public should understand the situation.
So does that mean that there will be a move to sort of dilute the National Health Service so that more and more the public will have to pay for their services?
Oh, but, the situation is like, if there is no enough healthcare workers in the country, so where they will pay more? I mean, how to pay? Because they can't, because they have all the facilities in the institution or hospitals or places, but still they need doctors, they need nurses, they need assistant healthcare workers. So where we can find them?
What about the influx of students and so on? Are you concerned that we are not having enough new output of medical qualified medical personnel?
And in Sri Lanka, we have enough qualified professionals so far,
Right.
because the country produce enough professionals in the country. The thing is like we have to manage it, because like if we consider about medical field, it's not easy to train a quality doctor in a couple of years. So it's not a solution getting a lot of students and train them without quality.
Mhm, mhm. Well, we're coming towards the end of our program. But Dr. Herath, what can you say to the hundreds of thousands of people out there who have got various illnesses? Some have very serious, life-threatening illnesses like cancer and so on. What is the take-home message that you, as representing the GMOA, what can you say to these people, the public out there, who are quite desperate for better healthcare?
Actually, I would like to tell them trust on us, because in Sri Lanka we have proper, well-built healthcare system.
Yeah.
So there are few issues, so we will sort it out in near future. So people of this country can trust on us, because our people, our healthcare workers are dedicated. They have seen it during the pandemic. So our healthcare workers never think about their life even sometime. So what we can assure is, like, within couple of weeks or a couple of months, we can restore this issue. So I humble request is to public, they can trust on us and trust on the public health service.
Well, thank you for your interview with us, Dr. Herath. But of course, the public will point out that whilst all this is happening, they continue to suffer on more occasion than one. And that is, of course, a sad situation. I wish you and your colleagues at the GMOA all the best in trying to address this anomaly, and also to come on television and explain the different challenges that your industry is faced with. So, Dr. Prasad Herath, thank you very much for being on Newsline.
Thank you.
And that's the way it was on Newsline this wonderful day. So it's now time to say, have a very good evening, and as much as you can, of course. And as always, God bless you all.